Say the outgoing Cavan senior football boss Mickey Graham joins us on the line now. Morning, Mickey. How are things?
Good morning, lads. How are you keeping?
Keeping well. Thanks for your patience there. Thanks for hanging on. So how are you feeling about this? Five seasons in charge. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. It was, I'd imagine, a difficult decision to step away.
Yeah, it was definitely, especially when you're involved with your own county. And I would have worked with a lot of those players from underage up, from under 16 levels right up to senior levels. So I'd be very close to a lot of them. And as I said, was given 2 years last year, but decided maybe to step away this last year.
Was there a reason why you felt the extra year? You didn't want to go with the second year in that extension?
No, I just thought the demands of it at the moment is huge. Like 5 years at inter-county level now is a big thing, because you look at the demands of inter-county management, and any man that lasts 5 years in any inter-county job is doing well. And I think after Keir McGeaney and Podge Collins, I think I was the third longest serving manager. So it just shows you the dedication that's required at that level.
What have the last few days been like, Mickey, and the sort of messages you've been getting? Because often when inter-county managers leave, there's a mixed response from people in the county. The messages we've seen this morning, and even I've seen online over the last few days, there's a real warmth towards you from the Cavan people, and such an appreciation for what you've done over the 5 years. Yeah,
just unbelievable, the well wishes I've got since I stepped away. I switched the phone off Monday evening for a couple of hours, and when I put it back on, it nearly exploded. But it just showed you the goodwill from the Cavan people, and a lot of friends and players that I've even worked with and maybe had stepped away the last couple of years. You know, everybody sending me messages, and you know, it's much appreciated. And as I said, all you can do when you're managing your own county is do your best and put everything into it, and I believe I done that. And as I said, we've had some good days, I had some bad days, and you know, I always said you embrace the good days while they arrive, because there'll be enough bad days when you're in this business.
1997, Mickey, was hanging over Cavan and Cavan fans like a bad smell for so long, just to get that Ulster final over the line. And that COVID year, 2020, I mean, talk to us about what that meant, because I know it was strange, and we were all having to watch it on TV, and with COVID there were no crowds, but that win over Donegal and that first Ulster title for Cavan in so long, that must have been so special.
Yeah, it was very special. The year before, obviously, Donegal beat us in the 2019 final, and I felt that after that game we learned an awful lot about ourselves. We knew where we needed to get to physically. Donegal imposed themselves on us that day, so we knew that, you know, if we were to have any success, that we had to try and match these teams physically. So we put a lot of work into that. But you know, going down to Armagh that night, we firmly believed that we were going to win that game. And I have to say, in my 5 years there, I never seen a performance like it from the lads. You know, they just gave it everything that you could possibly ask, and in the way that they done it. And you know, our backs were against the wall. We were down to 14 men twice, and you still managed to eke out the result. And as I said, while the crowd wasn't there, it was a special night. And I think that in years to come, people will always remember where they were that night, you know what I mean? And as I said, it was a strange journey home, coming home from it, sitting in the car on your own, quiet roads. But once you got to Cavan, you realise what you were after doing then.
It was a special feeling. You could even see some of the bonfires coming back into Cavan as well. And I know, as I said, look, the celebrations weren't maybe what they could or should have been, but for COVID. But that reaction from the Cavan people probably just highlighted, it just showed you how much football means in Cavan, I guess.
Yeah, look at when we got back to Kingspan Breifne Park, there was a lorry there, trailer, and we got up in it, and we thought, oh, an hour and we're out here, but we were 5 hours there, and you know, people were driving past in their cars, but it was special for the kids, and people themselves, that because they had been locked up for so long, just to get out for the night, it was like a day trip for them, you know. and the lads, in fairness to them, stayed in that trailer until every single car had passed by. The town was gridlocked there for 4 or 5 hours, but it made a lot of kids' day. And as I said, for a lot of people that hadn't seen Cavan win an Ulster title as well, there was a lot of people that was the first time, so it meant an awful lot, and you'd be hoping that would have inspired the next generation, hopefully, in the years to come.
There was definitely a yo-yo element to the Allianz League campaigns over the last couple of years, like all the way down to Division 4 in 2022, but then successive promotions. So I mean, you're leaving Cavan in such a positive place in Division 2.
Yeah, well, look, it would have been very easy when we went down to Division 4 to step away and say, let somebody else pick up the pieces. So I always said that, the main aim was to get back up and be playing at the top two tiers, Division 1 and 2, there's where you need to be. And I wouldn't have been happy stepping away at that stage. So I made promise to myself that I would try and get back up to Division 2 and try and get back playing in the Sam Maguire series. So, we achieved that. But the way the competitions has gone now, lads, is that when I first came in, it was all about getting ready for championship, but now the league has nearly become the second most important competition, and the calendar now after the All-Ireland series, and I think even the provincial now, is pushed back into third place.
You're probably the perfect man to ask about the Tailteann Cup and how it's worked or otherwise. I guess a lot of people fancied Cavan even in the final last year against Westmeath, albeit Westmeath getting over the line, and then this year, you bounce back from that defeat to Armagh in the Ulster Championship, win your group games in the Tailteann Cup, and then come up against a very strong downside, not the draw you probably wanted. How do you feel the Tailteann Cup has worked so far?
Look, it depends what teams buy into it. If you're looking to develop and improve, managers and teams will definitely go after and target it. Like we would have looked at, we had a number of young lads that came into the squad, and it was a great opportunity to expose them to this. And we felt like last year's Tailteann Cup, while we didn't win it, a couple of new lads got exposed to that level, and you could see the difference in them this year. They were more established. So and then the opportunity to play in the All Ireland series is up for grabs as well. That can't be underestimated. So there is teams that do take it seriously, and then there's teams that when they get knocked out of the provincial championships, some of the lads have their bags packed ready for America. So that can be a hindrance too to some counties who are looking to progress. But definitely I think that you look at Down and you look at Meath and you talk to either one of those this week, they'll be more than delighted to win that Tailteann Cup.
We've just been talking about Derry and the progress that they've made over the last 5 or 6 years through underage level, starting to be reflected in the senior team as well, moving up through the leagues in the Allianz League, and now finding themselves in an All-Ireland semi-final, and the quality that's coming through. How difficult is it for counties that are in that sort of yo-yo position to make sure you have the structures in place that when Cavan kick on from here, when the next manager comes in, that you stay in Division 2, that you become an All-Ireland team? How important is it, and how difficult is it to get close to that real, maybe top 6, top 8 teams?
It is very difficult, and you need the right structures in place, and I believe Cavan do have the right structures in place. There's a lot of good work being done behind the scenes there. We've been very competitive in Ulster the last number of years at underage, a bit not maybe getting a title, an Ulster title at underage, just to really inspire lads to stick at it. But yeah, look, it's important now because there's so much emphasis on the league. Strength and depth in panels is huge now. You need real strength and depth. You look at the teams now, the top teams and the players that they're bringing off the bench. So it's become a 21 man game now, the county setup. So it's important that you have such talent in reserve. You nearly need as good a players coming off the bench than you do to actually starting now the way it's gone.
Do teams and managers like yourself, Mickey, care about the provincial championships anymore? Because, as you say, that the league has almost taken on such a priority, and the provincial championships, especially when you see this year, for example, the league finals taking place, and then I think for a lot of teams you had 1 week straight into the championship. It almost takes away from the league finals and takes away from the start of the championship as well. So where do you stand on the provincials as things are currently?
Yeah, look, I suppose I'm involved in one of probably the best provincial championship in the country in Ulster, and on any given day anybody can beat anybody, but this was probably the first year that I felt that there wasn't a real edge to it like there was in previous years, because I think a lot of the top teams were looking further down the line. They were looking at the All-Ireland series. They had put so much into the league, and trying to get the balance right where you're up for every league game. Can you keep continuing to get up for every championship game or provincial championship game and then expect to do the same? I don't think it's possible. I think you need to get the balance right of knowing when to try, and I think what a lot of teams do is try and consolidate the position in the leagues first, and then to go into a block of hard training, and then they're only starting to sharpen the blades come the end of the provincial championships. And I think Dublin and Kerry are 2 prime examples how they got it right. Probably didn't have brilliant league campaigns, probably got a couple of defeats, a couple of draws, but you seen them the last day, they were like a team that had time to run properly. And when you have the quality that both those teams have, you can understand how they've got it right.
I'm sure you'll be available for any calls from the next Cavan manager with any advice. If you were giving some guidance on things you've learned this year in particular with that flow of the season and the way that it has changed, what are the main things you would look back on that you learned this year in particular around, a good league campaign, but then trying to keep that momentum and fitness levels and all that stuff together into the summer?
Yeah, look, I suppose when you look at the best sports in the world, even soccer and rugby, teams do, especially professional teams, they do dip at certain times during the season because it is hard to keep that intensity and that edge up all the time. So, I think, as I said, if I was going back in again next year, I would say let's target the league early on, let's consolidate our position in the league and then try and maybe get a bit of work done, but at the same time try and get promoted. But you need to be looking, if you're serious, about competing in the All-Ireland series, you need to be looking further down the line now and maybe even bypassing Ulster the way it is. It's gone now, because you look at Westmeath, they had a great All-Ireland series, very unlucky not to come through it, but as I said, they were knocked out at the Leinster Championship, and as I said, I think that favoured them when they went into the All-Ireland series. So definitely I'll be looking at how we can get the balance right and make sure that you don't peak too soon, because I felt after our league campaign we did hit a bit of a lull and I felt we were coming back, but it was too late then.
What do you make of the state of the game at the moment, Mickey, in terms of the rule changes, I guess, in recent years? There's a lot of talk about the attacking mark, and Davy Burke was in studio with us very recently, the last couple of weeks, and he, for one, is certainly not a fan of it. What do you make of the attacking mark and I guess the other rule changes that have been brought in?
Yeah, look, and I'm not a fan of it myself. Back in the day when I was playing, and even playing with some great, exciting players, I think the attacking mark takes away from the one-on-ones now. When a lad wins an attacking mark, he'd put his hand up and kick it. Whereas years ago, when a fella wanted that ball out in front, his first thing was to take his man on, and that brought excitement and that brought people to the edge of their seats. And we don't see enough of that now. We don't see enough of lads taking men on one-on-ones, and I think the attacking mark has nullified that, because how many times have you seen somebody win an attacking mark and he is in a one-on-one situation? Wouldn't you love to see him taking them on and going for a goal? And as I said, that brings people to the edge of their seats, and it brings great excitement. People love to see players going at men, and I just think that element of our game has been lost.
It was reading quotes from Ricey McManaman, who was part of your backroom team with Cavan there in the last day or two, and he was talking about one thing that people didn't realise about your system is the man management that you would have brought to that Cavan setup, and how the players kind of bought into everything you were doing. And you look at that Cavan team, I'm looking at some of the names in front of me here, like Gerald McKiernan, Cian Mackey, Martin Riley, Martin Dunn, players that have been around for so long. And this is the human element to it, I suppose, Mickey, as well. Like, you've been in the dressing room with these players for the last 5 years. I'm sure you're going to miss the camaraderie and the small things, even aside from the football.
Oh, without a doubt, that is the biggest thing I'll miss. I treated every single player the same in there. I had so much respect because of the time and dedication these boys, the sacrifice they make towards Cavan football. A lot of people outside wouldn't see that, but yeah, look, as I said, I would have worked with a lot of these lads at underage level, would have seen them develop the whole way through from under 16 right up to senior level, and seen the footballers they become. It's something that I will miss. As I said, I wouldn't have a bad word to say about any of them. Great lads to work with, and it was an honour just to be sharing the same changing rooms as all these boys, and hopefully now as a supporter I can go and cheer them on and see them continue in their upward curve.
Inter-county management in general often seems to be a bit of an addiction amongst people. I think it was 2018 was the first time you were on with us when you had the success with Mullinochta, and you went slightly over the border that time with Mullinochta. Do you want to stay in the game? When you've had a little bit of a break, would you be interested? Would you manage outside of Cavan again?
I definitely think I'd manage. It's an addiction, I love football. I love being involved. I love rolling up the sleeves and getting the hands dirty. And, yes, it's great to see you need a break and recharge, but I'm always looking to learn. You're always looking to pick up new things. I think I definitely will go around and have a look at other sports, maybe, or other counties or whatever they're doing, and try and, keep learning and keep improving my knowledge of the game, because you never stop learning. Every day is a school day. So, yeah, look, I think if I walked away from it, you could fall behind in the way the game is going, because the game is evolving every year, and you just want to stay up to speed. So I never say never, I suppose.
Finally, Mickey, how do you see the remainder of this year's All-Ireland Championship going? We've got the two semi-finals this weekend. We've of course got the Talton Cup final as well, but Dublin and Kerry, two trains that are hard to stop at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. But I suppose the one thing about Monaghan is you have to give them great credit for, keep sticking at it and, getting to an All-Ireland semi-final. And I know for a fact that when Dublin are looking for challenge matches, Monaghan is nearly the first team to go to, because they know they're going to get a hard battle and they're going to be asked lots of questions. And Monaghan would be very familiar with Dublin, so they'll hold no fear. Have they got enough to beat them? I just think they might just fall short. But, you never know. Football's a strange game. One big performance, and you never know what'll happen. The other game, I think it'll be close. I think, coming down the home stretch, 60, 65 minutes, don't be surprised if this game is only 9-8 or 10 all, because I think Derry will look to bring it to an arm wrestle. They will look to keep it tight, and the longer that game stays tight, the more pressure piles on Kerry. So if Derry can keep that game tight for as long as possible, the pressure starts to build on Kerry then, and that's where the mistakes come in. And if Derry managed to get the noses in front with a few minutes to go, they could be very hard to turn over. So I think that game could actually be quite close.
Mickey, great stuff. We've got a lovely message in from Ronan Hurricane, who says, thanks so much for a great few years, Mickey. The joy you and the team brought to Cavan supporters in that bleak winter of 2020 after a very tough Ulster Championship draw will never be forgotten. So I think that's the sentiment, generally speaking, that we're getting into the show this morning. So congrats on the 5 seasons with Cavan, and we'll look forward to seeing what you get up to next.
No problem, boys. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Great stuff. Mickey Graham there, the outgoing Cavan senior football manager, joining us on OTB AM.